All right, I was gonna have this as one of my little 4 a.m. rant videos, but I think this might be a little longer than the 5 to 10 minutes I normally do that. Today I wanted to talk. I know normally on here we talk about Dead by Daylight and gaming related. And this is kind of gaming related. I mean, if I stream, a lot of other people stream, and lately the new kid on the block that showed up, what is about a year ago now, or getting close to it, is Kick.com, as you can see behind me. And there are several fundamental issues I have with this site, and personal reasons why I won't use this site, and I'll get into them a little bit. But even though I'll be talking about this site a little bit, this isn't so much a talk about Kick.com as it is the Cult of Kick. I made that joke on Twitter yesterday, and it was literally just like, because somebody had made a comment that they were talking about how you have to have a minimum amount of viewers to raid out, and how that kind of hurts, especially if you're a small streamer trying to build community or trying to, jump in with other people or collab, or try to get noticed, on how hard it is. Sometimes you just don't have 5 people in your stream. I mean, starting out I'd have 3, and one of them was my tablet that I keep up so I can see what the other people are seeing besides what I see on my stream manager. So like it can hurt you. And it was a very good comment and very good discussion, as like, this kind of hurts people. Why do they do this? And it wasn't even like, the person that posted wasn't even trying to be harassment. Like, they were just posting that it's kind of silly that you can't not stream or not raid out with less than, I think, 5 viewers. And so immediately the Kick people just started chiming in on that post on why that's a good thing, and just hammering. And it's to me, it's objectively not. Someone said it was to stop hate raids, and I'm like, well, hate raids are usually like a lot of people, like, if you know what I mean. Like, there's a ton of people that show up when they do that. It's not 1 or 2 people, because you can just quickly ban that and be on your day. But it was more so just the people's reaction. Then I made a joke and I said, shit, it's the Cult of Kick in here, or something like that. And oh my God, did I like the joke? Just, it was because I was trying to be funny. I spelled cult with a K, Cult of Kick. Get it? Probably the name of this freaking video. I thought it was just something goofy to say, because yeah, it is, kind of like the way people jumped on this train and defend it half the time. I'm just like, a little cultish. And what really became cultish was just the responses I got. Holy shit. None of them even addressed the joke. They came up with all these wild things that I didn't say, putting words in my mouth, like I was attacking them or some shit. And, you shouldn't call us cultish. I'm like, well, you're fucking acting like it. I make a joke, and all of a sudden, within 5 minutes, I got 3 people trying to chew my ass about it. Holy shit. And it's a very big difference here. Like, if we have Twitch or, what's the other? Twitch, YouTube, those are the other 2. Facebook gaming doesn't, that doesn't count. But Twitch or YouTube, if we sit there and mock or tack or crack jokes on Twitch or YouTube, people will join in the fray on Twitter or social media, whatnot, and dogpile on it every time Twitch does something stupid, or every time YouTube doesn't do something and doesn't change or doesn't innovate, and they just kind of exist saying, hey, you can live stream. We crack jokes and no one takes it all too hard. But if you make a joke about Kick, holy shit, they come out of the fucking woodworks. So let's talk about Kick. Kick is, if you live under a rock, is another streaming service hosted by, or I should say, not hosted by, supported financially by Stake, which is an online crypto gambling website. You use cryptocurrencies in every place but the UK, because the UK allows them to operate there, but requires them to use fiat currencies being cold hard cash. So for the most part, they rely on the crypto world to keep their online gambling platform running. And now they are successful, because most gambling sites do tend to be, because as the old adage is, the house always wins. Every casino, the house is making more money than you will. And so as we look around here, I mean, it looks very similar. As you can see behind me, this is very similar to Twitch. It's almost like they just copied it pixel for pixel and then just changed some colors. But so people came to it. because they offered a 95-5 split. And everybody looked at that and said, well, why can't Twitch afford that? See, Twitch is just trying to screw us. And every time I've said, no, Twitch is not screwing you. Twitch doesn't make a profit. And they really don't. I think they might have during the height of the pandemic, just like every other tech company out there fucking made a killing right at the height of the pandemic because we got free money and we were stuck at home. So of course they made money. But after that, the last year or so, I don't think before and after pandemic, I don't think Twitch has turned a profit. And every time I say that, people love to bring up the scale of how much money Twitch has brought in, which is showing the inflow. But those charts do not show the outflow of money, your overhead, your labor costs, your electrical costs, your server maintenance, bandwidth traffic, stuff that, just the computers that process all that streaming requires a tremendous amount of energy. I can raise my electric bill by, it doesn't sound like much, but just a couple bucks a month. If I have to sit here and render out a scene that takes a couple days to render, between the computers I got plugged in to render said program, my CPU gets up to like 94 degrees Celsius. It maxes out. I got a water cooler on it just for that purpose of keeping it cool. But that's a lot of energy. That is a lot of energy it takes to get one little chip that hot while it's trying to render out an animation scene at, high settings or high sample size. And if I can raise my electric bill by $1-2 a month, because I can tell, because, there's a flat rate we get when we don't go over shit, and when we go over it, I notice. So imagine that on a more massive scale on all these computers trying to handle all this traffic. So electrical costs are fucking massive. And now, not only that, you have, like I said, personnel. You're probably paying out $200 to $300 million a year. When I was researching this, if somebody just went by average cost of salaries for people in the positions that it takes to run the company, and came out to be about between 200 to 300 million a year in just paying people to keep the site operated. Because you got to understand, the people that keep these sites operational are making between, on the low end, probably about $100,000, maybe a little less, but on the high end, closer to 200,000, depending on your position, seniority, and all that shit. These people make bank that run this stuff. They went to college. They got fancy degrees of, they make money. And people don't take that into consideration when looking at how much money Twitch has made, because they only see that number of millions and millions of dollars coming in, but they don't see the millions upon millions more going out, which happens. And especially since, even though Twitch is owned by Amazon, Twitch still has to give money to Amazon for its video hosting services that, guess who else uses? Kick. The only winner between the Kick Twitch stream, by the way, is Amazon, or the war between them is Amazon. They're making money from both of them because everybody has to use Amazon's web hosting services for their video streaming. All right. Now, where it gets dicey is the fact that Kick went that 95-5 sub split, which means they're only getting 5% of the money. Like when you do a transaction to pay for a sub, they're getting 5% off of that money that you just paid for that sub. And in actuality, they're really getting 2 to 2.5%, because every time you have a financial transaction, especially with credit cards or debit cards, you have the processing fee that some companies just roll into the price, or some companies, like if I go out in town, have a notice saying we charge an additional 2.5% for credit card transactions, because they don't want to eat the extra cost for the transaction. So out of that 5%, half of that goes to pay Visa or MasterCard or whoever to process that transaction. So they make like this much off of that. Ads, good luck ever getting main ads on Kick, because to be fully honest, let's look at something on why Kick is never going to be able to get a lot of people having ads. Let's look at the person responsible for that. This is Aiden Ross. If you are unfamiliar with him, he is a pseudo protege of Andrew Twat. He is a douchebag, that super misogynistic piece of shit. There's videos of him where even his own manager tells him people don't want to work with him because he is such a piece of shit. And he is one of the owners and big front face of Kick. And as long as this, hold on, let me point to the right direction. That man's ugly face right there is part of Kick, you are never going to have any serious advertisers on their site because no big corporation that has money to spend on advertising is want to be even remotely related to this guy. So he's one of the main reasons that Kick is being drugged down, or that can drag Kick down. Trust me, I see Kick is still doing good right now. But with Aiden Ross, them making little bit of, tiny bits of money, where is their revenue coming from? Where can they afford to pay the creators that 95.5 sub split? And it's because of this site, stake.com. And now I want you to notice something about Stake and why I don't trust it. My head is blocking it, so let me move my head. You see this? See this right here? All that right there? Stake.com isn't even, because it's a online casino, and there was a laws passed in the early thousands, actually mid to late thousands, I should say, that banned online casinos from operating. Like, for actual, you can have an online casino as long as it's fake money, but you can't do anything that can be gambled with fiat in the United States. And you see right here, it says, sorry, stake.com isn't available in your region, but stake.us might be. Stake.us being the free gambling site. Stake.us is meant to hook you. So you get something like a VPN so you can change your IP address location on the planet so you can go to stake.com and gamble. That's what stake.us exists. It's just meant to be a hook to drag you to stake.com or find a way to get there, because you cannot access this in the United States. It's blocked. I've told that to people before and they've wanted to argue with me. So here it is on their website in the US. You cannot access stake.com in the US. And if your website is blocked inside the United States, I ain't gonna fucking trust it, because there's obviously a reason it's fucking blocked in the United States. And we'll go back to this website. So with it being blocked here, it still gets a lot of, there's a lot of people with VPNs that use it in the US. I mean, you can see the gambling streams all the time. And that is how Kick makes money. It's not necessarily making money itself. It's trying to make money for Stake with its gambling streams, highlight on gambling, and everybody knows, Stake made Kick. So you just have that presence to already kind of think of stake.com when you're on Kick anyway. And now they said they've tried to, lessen the gambling streams and all that. And I've had some people say, yeah, see, it's not, they're not funding Stake, blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. These are the type of people that also believe that Philip J. Morris doesn't want you to smoke because they make anti-smoking ads. Yeah, do you believe they don't want new cigarette smokers? I fucking don't. Do you think Stake doesn't want new gamblers? Come on. It's the same concept here. They try to have goodwill up front, so you'll use their shitty product. And being somebody, and this is why I don't trust Kick and I don't trust Stake, as somebody who's had a problem with gambling in the past, I know the house always wins, and I know every single trick a casino will use to drag you into it to give you their money. That is how they operate. From, a real world casino, from machines they put at the front door, how they design where you walk in, windowless rooms so you kind of get lost, maze-like tiles to roam around so you kind of disoriented and you're more apt to play. When you go to these websites, they'll put up the big flashy games up front. They'll show you pictures of all these people winning money online. These are all psychological ploys designed to get you to come in and spend money, and Kick is just a psychological ploy for Stake to get you into it. Kick will never make money. Well, I should not say never. If Kick is successful, it is rather depressing, because the only way Kick succeeds in a world where it's only getting 2.5% of a transaction, advertisers aren't gonna, they'll touch Kick more than they'll touch Rumble, but that's just like saying, I'd touch this piece of shit over that piece of shit. Like, oh, one's dried, one's wet. I guess if I have to touch one, I'm gonna touch the dry piece of shit, because then it won't get stuck to my hands. That's kind of how it feels. So the whole point of this is just Kick exists solely to make Stake money. And if Kick is successful and doesn't get shut down, or doesn't, go the way of what Mixer it was, is because Stake is making money. They can afford Kick to operate at a loss if stake brings in more money off of Kick and people coming in from gambling, because some of its more popular streams on Kick are still its gambling streams. And a lot of people will like to remind me, Amazon still has gambling too. Well, there's a big fucking difference between a site that has some gambling streams and a site that is purely supported and paid for by gambling. They are not equal. And everyone's like, well, Amazon isn't, so squeaky clean either. Yeah, we fucking know that. No one's trying to argue Amazon isn't a giant piece of shit. We're trying to argue that Kick is also a piece of shit, and they will always deflect it. And that's where the Cult of Kick comes in. I've never seen this with all the other streaming platforms. I've never seen a group of people so diehard defend something and act like it's this fucking messiah of a site to fucking come in and stream on and try to drag other people and will not take any criticism whatsoever. Now, I know all the people on Kick aren't this way. I know you got to do what you got to do to make money, but I want you guys to, if you're streaming on Kick, be warned and listen. If you are streaming on Kick and you hate this motherfucker, you are actively making him richer. He is one of the part owners of this site. You are actively putting money in his pocket by using this site. So be warned, if you're going to use Kick, you need to be aware of who owns it and what its purpose is. Who one of the primary people that, brought Kick up, one of the faces of the company, and who he is. And also what the plan is going forward with Kick. Because if you have a site that you can't even access in the US, like this, on this, to operate your streaming site, there's going to be issues. I don't think Kick will be around in another year. That is my personal opinion, just given the fact that they are not bringing in revenue. All these millions of dollars they're throwing at creators, like the big names to come and stream on there, like what was it, XQC, Amaranth maybe, that is not Kick's money. That is Stake's money. Kick hasn't made that, like, at all. So all these people have tried to use that one arguments against me of like, see, they can afford to bring in these top creators. No, Stake can afford to bring in those top creators. It's a casino, and casinos practically mint their own money. But if you were, like I said, I just want to end with this. If you are going to use this site, just make sure you know of what you're dealing with. You're kind of doing that, what is it, monkey paw wish or deal with the devil. Like it has a high chance of coming back to bite you in the end. So before you move your entire platform, all your content, your entire career that you have built over to Kick, be wary and do your research. As someone told me yesterday that I needed to do my research about Kick, so I did. I had actually done it a lot before I had talked with them about that. And it's funny when someone says do your research and then the post before that is filled with a bunch of bullshit that could have easily been disproven with 5 minutes of research. Anyway, it is a site that I think is destined to explode. And those of you that are part of the Cult of Kick, now, I won't say every Kick streamer is part of the Cult of Kick. The Cult of Kick are the ones that will defend it no matter what. You cannot speak ill of it. You cannot crack jokes about it. They will come out of the woodworks and just rip you apart on whatever social media platform you happen to be using, because Kick is like the next best thing since sliced bread, and if you talk ill of it, you are a piece of shit. So I guess as I sit here making this video, I'm a giant piece of shit. I'll accept that. But at least I ain't a piece of shit that's responsible for getting Aiden Ross more money.